Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be moving on. Well, I've got a really good success story that hopefully will inspire for those of you who are struggling from a breakup, licking your wounds, trying to get over somebody, trying to re-attract an ex. This particular email is from a guy who, like probably 90% of the people that first find my work, was trying to figure out what the hell happened when things went sideways with a girl that he really liked. So he started applying what he was learning. He met a new girl and things went really well with the new girl, and then he ends up running into his ex. So it's a good success story, because I talk about this a lot, especially guys that are learning these things. You've got to have women to practice this stuff on so you can improve your skills, especially when you're in a situation where you're hoping that an ex may come back into the picture. So, I mean, think about it from this perspective. If you're reading my book and you're watching videos, but you're not practicing it, and then a couple of months later, the ex comes back into the picture, how are your skills supposed to improve if you're not practicing it? So, by interacting with other women and applying these things and seeing that the stuff works makes you go, wow, this is really easy, this is really effortless, I'm going to do this from now on. And then the ex comes back into the picture and you got other women in your life, it's a lot easier to do the right things with her versus having no practice at all in your time that you're apart. So I got a quote that I wrote in this topic, and I'm going to go through this guy's email. So the quote says, "Some relationships are simply not meant to work out. Despite your best efforts to save them, communicate, and work things out, the other person may simply be unable or unwilling to make them work. Relationships are only possible when both people are committed to making them work. The reality is that everyone has flaws. No one is perfect. People who grew up in healthy families with loving parents who communicate like adults and who have a good relationship with both of their parents often make the best teammates, spouses, and partners. Rejection tends to breed obsession. It's always helpful to remember that it's not the actual person that we miss, but the fantasy of whom we thought they were. If you focus on what you can learn from loss and things that do not work out in life the way you expect, this will enable you to assign a positive, empowering meaning and get the gift of the experience so you can become a better person going forward. Our struggles are meant to refine and improve us, not define who we are." So let's go through his email. Coach Corey, you've seen a few of my emails. Over the past month, I was depressed and upset over an ex-fling. Considering I only had a couple of months left where I'm stationed, I just didn't know how to deal with the loneliness. Well, like I've talked about many times in the past, when you don't feel good, when you feel negative emotions, when you feel sad, when you feel angry, when you feel, especially in this particular case, when you feel depressed and sad over the loss of somebody that you really cared about, you have to feel those emotions in order to heal them and move through them. And especially most guys in Western societies are taught that it's not okay to feel emotions. The idea is not to be an emotional basket case in public, but when you're alone and you're by yourself, it's very healthy to sit there when you're alone and say, it feels like nothing works in my life. It feels like I'm never going to find another girl that's as awesome as my ex-girlfriend. It feels like I'm never going to find anybody better. It feels like I'm going to be single forever. It feels like I'm always going to be a virgin if you happen to be a virgin. Or it feels like things never go my way in life. Just saying these things out loud and acknowledging these truths. I feel like shit. I feel depressed. I feel like my life is over. I feel like things are never going to get any better. Just saying that to yourself and acknowledging it out loud and putting a pillow over your face and screaming into it and cussing into it and expressing whatever emotions that come up naturally without any judgment, without any resistance, or feeling like, okay, I need to stop feeling shitty right now. Sometimes you have to get into it before you can get out of it, because you got to think of the emotions, when the ones that feel really bad, all it really is stuck energy. And in order for your body to experience this stuck energy, your nervous system has to experience it. When it's not safe for you to experience it. It gets stored as muscle tension in your nervous system, which I've talked about many times in many videos over the years. And if you want to learn more about that in network chiropractic care and how that can help you, you can Google Corey Wayne, how to become more confident and sure of your actions, where I actually explain the benefits of it. And what network care is really great, especially if you're suffering and you're going through a difficult area, to help you reconnect to those parts of your nervous system that you're disconnected from, so you can experience whatever that emotional trauma happens to be authentically present with it, and then move through it without any kind of judgment. In other words, without sitting there saying, well, this has got to be over in 20 minutes, I got to catch the next episode of my favorite TV show. The idea is, if it means you got to sit there and suffer all day, that you give yourself permission to do that. The key is to be present with it. And when you're present with those icky, unpleasant feelings, however long it usually takes a lot shorter than you think it's going to. If you feel like, God, I'm going to be feeling like this for hours, sometimes in 10 minutes it just dissolves and it goes away. But tomorrow morning you may wake up feeling the same things again, especially if a breakup has happened so recently. So let's get back to his email. He says, I'm in the military. Thank you for your service, by the way. But one night, I decided to wear my uniform out, and I went out with 0 fucks to give. That's perfect. You're going out to make yourself happy. You're not going out to meet anybody. You're going out to have fun. And when you have that perspective, it's like I talked about in the article, How to Get Women to Approach You First. When you give off that vibe, women will come and find you. They'll see it. They'll pick up on it. Women can tell when they look at a guy if he's happy and if he's got his shit together, just by the body language and his physiology. I met another lady. She was on a meetup with some dude, and she expressed that she didn't like this guy whatsoever. This poor dude's on a date with this girl, and here she is flirting with this particular guy who wrote the email. This guy actually bought me a drink. He was actually a nice guy. Well, that's obviously the problem. He was too nice. He's buying you a drink, and I don't know whether he realizes it or not. Well, let me get to the story here. But this guy has no idea what is really going on here, this particular guy that buys him this drink. And it reminds me of something I've told this story before. I was on a date probably, this was like 1997, 98, somewhere in that area. I was 27, 28. I went out with this girl, and I didn't really know what I was doing there. She was one of the first girls I had gone out with after I left my wife. Really liked this girl, really beautiful. Dark hair, dark eyes, nice figure. And we were hanging out, and we had gone and had sushi, and then we went across the street to this place to have some drinks. And I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, she's talking to some other dude, and as I'm walking over, I see her sliding him her number. It's like, so she meets this guy on a date with me, and because I didn't know what I was doing, and I had obviously turned her off by that point in the evening, she's flirting with some other dude. And so I could totally, it's like sitting here, I've been in both guys' shoes. The guy who I'm reading the email from, and the poor schmuck that's sitting at the bar that has no clue that the woman that he's on a date with is actually flirting and going to end up hooking up with some other guy. He says, she took me outside and made out with me. She asked for my phone number and said, it will be worth it, trust me, she says. So I gave her my number. She left the bar and went home. About an hour later, ding ding, she calls me and says, you need to get to my place right now. He's got no fucks to give. That's his attitude when he goes out. He's dressed in his military uniform. He's proud of the fact he's in the military. And think about it from this perspective. I mean, that's the embodiment of dangerous masculinity. Joining the military, being trained in weapons, and going out there and fighting where you could possibly be killed or maimed for life. That's a brave and courageous act. And just the fact that he's walking around with his uniform on, because women like guys in uniforms. On some level, she automatically assumes that this guy is brave and courageous. Because you got to be a bit brave and courageous to join the military. So right away, that's going to create attraction. And then when she starts talking to him, it's just the air, the vibe that he gives off, his level of confidence, not giving a damn one way or another. He's just out to have a good time that night. I said, okay, I'll be there shortly. I show up. She's got music playing, candles lit, and a glass of wine already poured. It doesn't get any easier than that. It didn't take long, and sex happened. And this goes to show how easy and effortless things really are supposed to be. Attraction is not a choice. Mother Nature has already handled it. And the problem most guys have is they talk women right out of it. I mean, here's this guy, takes this girl out on a date. It's the first date. He meets up with her. He buys a beer for the dude who's going to end up banging the girl that he's there to meet. And he probably will have no idea that this has happened. I'm finally beginning to feel good about myself again, and I know that I have value to offer a woman. I ran into my ex the other day at this bar, and I hate the way things ended. She would look over, see me, and turn back the other way as if I never existed. That's what I would do. And she goes, and she does one of those to you. It's like, go about your business. She was talking to people around her, and she came by herself, and I noticed this behavior, and I waited. The other people left, and I asked her if we could talk. Well, you shouldn't have asked for permission. You should have just said, what's up? What's on your mind? How you been? You miss me? You been thinking about me? She said, no. I said, okay, and I went to the bathroom. When I came back, I told her, I'm really sorry about what I said and how I treated you, which in my opinion, she's really the one that needs to apologize. See? It's like, you notice what happens. It's like you go right back into the same mindset that got you rejected. You do everything perfect with this other girl from the get-go because there's no emotional attachment at that point. You don't know her. But with this girl, you've got history with her. And as soon as you see her, you go right back into those same emotions, right back in that same body language, that same mindset, that same kind of thinking. It's like one of my favorite quotes by Einstein. He said, thinking creates problems that the same kind of thinking will not solve. And so what happens is you run into your ex and you go right back into the same kind of thinking that got you rejected and blown off the first time around. He says, but I do like her a lot and I wanted to bury the hatchet. For whatever reason, I don't know, probably because I still want to sleep with her. At the end of the day, remember, rejection breeds obsession, and especially when you're the one that gets blown off. Obviously, she's got all the power. But just those little subtle things that you did when you asked her for permission, you're basically communicating that you're the same kind of guy displaying the same kinds of weaknesses that caused her to blow you off in the first place. And on top of that, you're apologizing when she's the one that fucked up. You're treating her like a celebrity. In other words, you're saying, it's okay to treat me like a doormat. I know you treated me like a doormat before, and it's okay if you do it to me again. So this other girl, you do everything right with her. And then you run into your ex, and you go right back to behaving the same way. She said, I'm over it, and I don't care. There's a side of the bar over there, and that's where you can be. I mean, you tell her. She literally says this, I'm over it and I don't care. There is a side of the bar over there and that's where you can be. She totally has all the power. It's like he literally walked up to her with his balls in a box and handed them back and said, here you go, these belong to you. And she basically says, get the fuck out of my face and go stand over there. You're in fucking timeout. I left the bar kind of upset. I hate that things ended so negatively. I would have said, first off, I'm sorry that you're having such a shitty day that you feel like you can talk to me this way, but I don't want to. You don't have the right to talk to me like that. You can apologize, or you can get out of my face. But instead, you kind of left the bar with your tail between your legs. I left the bar kind of upset, and I hate that things ended so negatively. Well, part of the problem is that you literally invited her to continue treating you the same way. However, as he says, I've kept things really cool with the new girl and I've been following your principles. She asked me out on another date. This gets funny because on the date she said she could only have one drink and had to go. Well, she had 2 drinks. And when we were leaving, she started kissing me and said, I told you that my daughter would be back soon. but I think we'll have more time. She said, follow me home, and if she does come home, well, then you'll have to leave. We'll have one glass of wine, and that's it. The woman's inviting you back to her place. She's basically saying, you're going to get lucky tonight as long as you don't fucking talk me out of it. But you notice the night and day difference between the ex and her? The ex totally intimidated him. But this new girl, because he doesn't have all this history with her, easy, effortless. She's saying one thing and doing the opposite. Why? Because he's done a good enough job knowing what's in the book to make things easy and effortless. Plus, she's doing all the pursuing, and when women are pursuing you, they're not getting rid of you. That's a fact of life. She also said clothes will not be coming off. When a woman says, we're not having sex tonight, it means we're having sex as long as you don't talk me out of it. Well, I got there, wine was poured, and well, clothes came off, sex happened. I'm shocked, I tell you. Have you ever seen that part in the movie in Casablanca where there's I think it's one of the police officers, and so it's like part of the Gestapo guys coming in, they're like, there's gambling and all these things going on in there, and the cop who's in there all the time drinking and smoking with everybody else, he's like, I'm shocked, I tell you, I can't believe this is going on in this establishment. As if, and it's totally phony. The reason I'm telling you this is because if I didn't purchase your book nor watch countless videos, I feel I would have fucked this whole thing up. And I want to give you thanks for the work you've done, and you've helped me in a lot of ways, and I really appreciate it. Well, rinse, recycle, repeat, dude, because this is a microcosm of what you need to do with all women. You need to treat all women the same, but obviously in this case, when the ex came back in the picture, you reverted back to your old ways. And I know it's really tough. You got one new girl under your belt, things are progressing with her, and the more you apply this stuff, and the more you do it, and the more successes you get, the easier it's going to be. And so maybe the next time you run into your ex, you'll handle it with humor, and you won't give a shit, and you won't let her intimidate you. Because your ex tried to intimidate you to see what you were made of, to see if anything had changed, if anything was different. And obviously, from your responses, you communicated that nothing's different. You're still the same doormat that you were before. Therefore, you weren't worthy of her respect, and that's why she disrespected you the way she did. Why? Because she knew you would sit there and take it, that you would tolerate it. Remember, what you observe, you participate in. Something to think about. So if you'd like to get my help personally, go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever coaching option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.